Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I have quite a few bits to do with my moss pole plants, so I figured I'd grab the camera and bring you guys along with me. If you do have any chores that you need to do, be it planty or otherwise, feel free to grab them and join me in this cozy chore day. Before we do get into the video, if you're new here, hi, my name's Amy and this is my jungle. If you enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a like, as well as hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel for more planty content. If you're not new here, thank you again for joining me. I really do appreciate having you back. Now, as I said, I have got quite a few things to do today. I have written myself a list of what I would like to get through. All of the poles do need watering. I've got a few, like my golden pothos, varicosum, to name a couple, that do need some pole extensions. I've also got a few that need additional moss added because they have sort of grown over where the moss is, so the next node isn't actually touching anything for the roots to grow into. There are a couple of plants that if I have time, I would also like to put onto moss poles, but those are going to be left towards the end. First things first though, my watering globes and jelly pots that I use to water my moss poles are all due to be watered. So I think I'm going to go through all of my plants to remove those, take them down and pop them in the sink to soak. Just because then they're out of the way and we can crack on with the rest of the moss pole bits. As you can see, you do get like a little bit of a build up in each of the pots, and this can obviously prevent the water from draining through. So I do like to give them a wash through at least sort of once or twice a month, as and when I remember. But what I'll do, I'll go through all of the plants just to grab those out, and then we will get into the rest of the video. So the first thing I'm going to start with is putting some extra moss into the moss poles that need it. And the plants that I'm going to be doing that for are my obliqua. This is the newest leaf that she has put out since being on her moss pole. But her next node is now slightly above where this moss is. So I want to add a bit more in so that she can continue to climb. I've also got my medium silver. She has got quite a bit of browning on the lower leaves, but I think that's more of a watering inconsistency than anything, because she is currently unfurling this beautiful leaf here. Again, her next node, I don't know if you can see, but here is now above where the moss is, so I want to get some in so that, again, she can continue to climb. My esqueleto is another one, so in the process of pushing out a nice leaf here, and the next node point is then going to be above the moss. So what I'm probably going to do is top this up for now and look to add an extension over the next few weeks. Just see what kind of time I've got to get that done, but that might be in another plant chores video. And the last one is my elbow, which is back here. Again, just remind some of these out of the way. Again, I'm just going to tilt her forward. Has put out another new leaf. The next node points are up here, so definitely does need some more moss in there. I think I'm going to start with the Esqueleto just because that's the one that I can then pull forward and pop back. Like I say, once I've done everything that needs to be done with these, I am going to pop them in the shower because they are all going to be showered off so that we can, one, get rid of some of the additional moss that has fallen out and onto the leaves, but also to, give them a bit of a dust for the winter. But yeah, like I say, I'm only going to add a little bit into this one. And then, let's say, I'll probably leave this gap here so that I can add another moss pole on. But at least for now, it's got a little bit of stuff that it can climb. Next one I'm going to do is my medium. I'm going to just tilt you down a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, squeegee you back. Okay. So for this one, because the moss is quite low, I am going to use a chopstick to help press the moss down into the pole. I'm always worried that I'm either adding too much moss and it's going to be too dense, but also I do worry that I'm not adding enough and it's going to dry out too quickly. So far, they seem to have been doing okay. But yeah, I always get a bit panicky that I'm going to end up overwatering them because the moss is going to be too dense around the roots that have grown into it. Do you guys have a general rule of thumb for how much moss you add into your poles, or again, do you just kind of play it by ear and see what happens? Yeah, I think I'm gonna fill that one up to there. Do the oblique one next. I'm really pleased that this one has started growing again. Like I say, I think it was a month ago or possibly even two, where it was just sort of putting out a really long runner and not doing much else. So I decided to chop it and pop it straight onto a moss pole. And like I say, it has pushed out this leaf since being on the moss pole. So I think it really was just looking for something to climb. So yeah, it's one I definitely want to keep on top of, making sure there's moss in there. And the last one I'm going to do is my elbow. I'm just going to tilt you back up a bit because obviously she is quite a bit taller. Currently pushing out another new leaf just here. I am going to move this here just so I can try and get her to stay a bit straighter on the pole. It's one of those where I feel like the front closure moss poles would be really handy, because you could see, just make sure they're secure in there. I know they're not currently something that you can get in the UK, but if anyone does know where you can get some from that are reasonably priced, do let me know. Okay, so I think that will do for now, and I might add a butterfly clip on there as well. But yeah, I'm just going to add some moss into this one. I'm just going through the front of the moss pole so I can make sure there's not any huge gaps where air will be able to go through, and it's sometimes a bit easier going from the front than pushing from the top. Okay, so I'm going to pop these guys through into the bathroom so that they can be showered down, and I'll move on to the pole extensions that we need to do. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look to extend my moss poles. I've got 3 that definitely do need doing, and those are my Rhaphidophora decursiva, the brandy that we've got in front of me. As you can see, she has grown completely off of the pole. And then my golden pothos, which is just here, again, another one that has grown off of the pole. So I am using these clear backed moss poles, and these are ones that I purchased off of Amazon, I believe. I did have to order some new ones, and I must admit the worst thing about these is peeling off the plastic that's on the front. For some reason, I just can't seem to get it off cleanly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of moss in the bottom, then I'm going to slot this in and look to attach the plant to the pole. So I hope you guys are at an alright angle to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. I am just going to move my moss a bit closer, because then I can stuff some of this over the pot. So just got some moss in there. I've left a gap bottom just to hopefully make it a bit easier for connecting the two, and I'm just going to move this so you guys can hopefully see what I am doing. Now, in theory, this should slot, there we go, straight in. So I've had to make a note of exactly what poles it is that I have purchased, so that when it comes to putting them together, they are the right size. I'm just going to grab my chopstick so that we can move this moss down. Actually, there we go. So, I'm just going to use the chopstick to push the moss down. As you can see, this is one that was long overdue. She's really climbing off of the pole. I just needed to actually get my bum in gear and order some more moss poles. But sometimes I think it is just the thought of having to do them that makes me procrastinate. I did chop part of her off as well to propagate. So she's currently in water, I believe. Just because there was another longer one, and I was like, I'm not going to be extending this pole anytime soon. So, okay, I'm just going to tilt you up a little bit. So as you can see, I've still got quite a bit more to pop in here. So I'm going to aim to fill. So yeah. I mean, I am tempted to chop her back, but I do really like this leaf. Very pretty. So I don't know whether or not to give her a chance to root into the pole or the new extension. And then we do a chop and extend. Not sure. Just gonna move this up. Do a tiny bit more, just so that the nodes here are against some moss. I'm just going to grab my plant tape and secure this one onto here. And that's that one done. Like I say, she's a bit bald here where she did lose a leaf, but I think I'm going to give this a chance to root in and then maybe look to chop it and repot it into the bottom of the pot. So the next plant we're going to extend is my varicosum. This pole has got cling film on it just to try and encourage her to root into the moss pole, because I did notice that she was kind of just, the only reason she was staying was because she had the plant tape on. And I've seen quite a few people add cling film to increase the humidity and help keep the moss damper, and encourage root growth into the pole. And I feel like that is working. That's why this has been, since being cut, she's put out this leaf, which is bigger than the leaf before before the cut. I mean, you can see the size difference here. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying watching this one. Like I say, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing, but it's doing what I want it to do. So for now, until she does sort of hang on her own, this is how she's going to be staying. So once this bit has been added, I will be wrapping this one with some more cling film. I'm not yet going to take this off because I do still feel like there are bits here that haven't yet adhered to the pole, so just to give them some extra time to do so. Again, similar to the brandy, I am just adding some moss into the bottom of this one, and then we'll look to join them together. So again, I don't want to go in too far because I don't want to disrupt any roots that are currently in the pole. And I think that should do. And I also want to make sure this next one can find a spot to adhere to. So again, just going to go in with my chopstick. There we go. So this one I'm going to put quite a bit more moss in, even though she is only up to here. And that's just because the internodal space on the varicosum is naturally quite wide. So I know that she'll probably be at the end of this before too long anyway. Is a plant that when I look to pot it up, I've currently got 2 cuttings of this rooting. So I want to add those into the bottom of the pole just to make her a bit more full and maybe have sort of 3 vines climbing up. I did try one in water, one in moss, and they've both rooted up fine. I wasn't sure which one was going to be more successful, so I kind of had insurance cuttings, but they are a top cut and a mid cut. So yeah, but they are doing quite well. Like I say, for this one, I am going to add a bit more moss because I know, well, we've got this leaf here, and then the next one will probably reach the top of what I've put in already. So just to give myself a little bit more leeway, I'm going to add in just a little bit more moss to this one. I say leeway, a little bit more of a gap between having to add more moss into this pole, although let's say the rate that she's going, it won't be long before I've got to add more anyway. Okay, so that's her at the moment. I am going to, the rest of her moss is actually still quite damp anyway, so I do want to shower her off though. I might remove the cling film and then I can see how well she's rooted in. Give her a shower down and then rewrap her with the cling film that's on here. So I will take this off camera and then I will show you what she's looking like before I rewrap her. I've just taken all of the cling film off and it looks like these bits down here at the bottom, you can see they've still not rooted into the pole. So I'm going to rewrap them and try and have it so that the nodes are in contact with the moss to see if we can get them rooting in. But these bits up here from where I did cling film have rooted into the pole, and if I turn it around I can see a nice root just in here. So my goal is that once she has rooted in, that I'll then just have to wrap the nodes above to encourage her to continue rooting into the pole. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this one in the shower, give her a rinse down, and then I will rewrap these nodes to try and get it so that they do start to root in as well, and she can hold herself on a bit more securely. So the next one we're going to do is my golden pothos. As I said, it has grown up and off of this current moss pole. So again, just going to give it an extension so that it's got something that it can grow into, continue to grow up into. This is one that has rooted really well into the pole. So yeah, definitely want to give it something to continue to climb up, because I really can't wait to see these leaves size up. So just going to fill part of the pole with some moss. I must admit, I feel like last time I purchased these larger ones, they definitely did have the plastic to peel off, but this time I pulled them out of the box and they haven't got any on, which made me very happy, not having to faff about with pulling that off. Okay. Right, so that is on there, and I'm just going to grab my chopstick so I can move down this moss that's in here so that we don't have any gaps. The only frustrating thing about extending moss poles is all of my poles that previously were able to just have like a jelly pot or a plastic cup on top with holes in the bottom, now they're going to need watering globes, and I don't have a huge amount of them, which means I have to, you know, give them a quick rinse before moving them on to the next plant when I am watering them, watering the moss poles. What I tend to do is have a little bit of a rota. So one day it'll be, you know, maybe the golden pothos, Milana chrysum, things like that, and then the next couple of days will be watering like the Monstera albo or my splendid or my glorious, just so that I can make sure they're all getting watered, and it gives me a chance to actually sort of clean through what needs to be clean so that I can use them on the next plant. Okay, so I am again just going to use a little bit of my plant Velcro just to attach this onto the pole. I'm going to need a little bit more than what I've got. Be like a bit of a botch job for this one because I'm having to use loads of different bits. So get that nice little, I don't know if you can see that little root there. I'm going to just place that in the moss. This one here. Hope that there's enough. Yeah, there is. And so there we go. That is that one done. As you can see, it's got two quite tall poles on here. Push. I know some people do tend to cable tie their moss poles together. So she's quite stable, so I'm not going to do that for this one. But I think if I were to add a third extension, then I might look at a way of securing, like she sits right here, so potentially I could look to have her attached in some way to the shelving unit behind her. But again, just going to pop her through in the shower so that we can get all of these moss poles watered, and then I'm just going to tidy up the floor, and I will see you guys in a bit. And I think I am going to leave the video here. I know there's a couple of things that I said I wanted to do that I didn't manage to get done, like adding moss poles to my philodendron painted lady and my siltepecana, but I think I'm going to save those for another plant chores video, just because it is getting quite late. I've got to get out to walk the dog as well as have something to eat. So I think I am going to finish this little plant choresy moss pole day here. If you guys did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a like, as well as leave some comments down below if you've got any tips or tricks that had helped me care for my moss pole. But as I say, I hope if you guys were doing stuff along with me that I really did help to motivate you and you managed to get done what you needed to get done. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Take care and have a lovely weekend. Bye.